And it looks like we're live. I think everything's working. I'm back from vacation, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Nevermore Collective. It is I, the Midnight Bard, and I am joined by Dareinger.
I am here, yes.
Great, great. It's good that you are here. Here's a thing. I want to say hi to the Raven Dreams, who was the first one on chat today. I want to say hello to Creepy Clown Girl, who just said Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, and Happy New Year here, celebrating with us at the launch of our Nevermore Nerds, Nevermore Collective, Untitled Yu-Gi-Oh Podcast Extraordinaire, Patent Pending LLC Incorporated. Trademark. Lord Mordor is in the chat, and he says, welcome back. And, yeah, I'm excited to be back. And ever since, we finished the building of the Millennium Puzzle, Dareinger and I have been discussing, what we should do about continuing the show, because, it's actually a lot of fun to do. And I figured, why not switch the format to just, we discuss, our favorite trading card game, along with other stuff. We could maybe discuss. We were just talking other card games such as poker, and
yeah, because we know that's Raven's favorite card game.
Yeah, Raven's favorite card game is poker, which I hear is getting some common rarity reprints these days. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lot easier to get into. If you've never played poker in the past, now's the time to get into it. Patience says hello. Hello, Patience. Happy New Year to you. Welcome to 2022. I hope that's just, 2022 and not 2020 and then the number 2, as in 2020, the sequel.
I could go back to 2020. It wasn't too bad.
For me, that was the start of my heart condition. So I'm like, if we could go back to 2019, for me, that would be a lot better.
Yeah, after saying that, I remember stuff. Take it back. Don't do 2020 again.
Yeah, 2020 was kind of. 2020 was a trip, man.
It was.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh,
you got the Ace of Spades? Nice.
That's incredible. I remember whenever Ace of Spades first hit, back in the Full House format, Ace of Spades was so hard to pull, and it was on TCG Player for like $160 for one, and that wasn't even mint condition. Like if it was damaged, that's just what you had,
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get 2 of them back in that format, but I couldn't never pull them whenever I was playing. So
yeah, Lord Mordor says that poker is probably the most affordable TCG out there, but the meta has been stale for decades. I believe that's probably a fair assessment. But Bicycle, which is the company that makes poker, is probably looking to shake the meta. I hear that they have some spicy techs that are scheduled for release in 2022, and not to mention the online client for poker, which it promises to be just game changing.
The official online client.
Yeah, the official online client. None of these third party fan made simulators. Those are, they hold their place, because technically I feel like if a company isn't stepping up and making an official online client where people can play their favorite card game, then it's up to the fans to kind of, it's not up to the fans, but fans usually have the tendency to be the proactive ones in making something, such as, for example, EDO Pro, which is the online, what's it called, app that I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But, it's completely fan-made. Konami had absolutely zero to do with that.
I don't think they're going to release an 11 card. That's been a rumor for years now, Raven. 1 through 10, Jack, Queen, King. All that maybe an ace, maybe like a new version of an ace.
I was gonna say, like, I thought that aces were like link monsters that they can count both as their value and as something else. Like,
Yeah, kind of. That was in the new rule setting. It's kind of difficult to figure out.
what master rule are we in poker right now? Do we know?
Master Rule 74.
Master rule 74. Okay, yeah. So poker's gone some changes throughout the years.
Yeah, they did release a new suit that it's supposed to be within the next Master Rule set coming out next month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna kind of shake up the meta a bit, I think, but all in all, it should be relatively the same.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, that remains to be seen. I kind of want to see like what happens at the next PCS.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
what are we?
This started out as a really fun joke that just kept escalating, and now we're at like unparalleled heights.
Well, we can't stop now. It's the thing. It's like,
yeah,
this is what like we're expected.
This is who
we're
we
a
are.
Poker stream now.
We're a poker stream now. Let's talk deck building and poker. I think the universally agreed upon ratios on poker is that you have at least 4 suits.
Yeah.
I think the other ratio is that we agree that the best amount of differences in suits is 2 colors.
Yeah.
And
well, see, with the new rule, they're adding a new color. So so it's going to be black, red, and then they're also adding in like a bluish green color.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, there's a whole bunch of new like what do you call it? Like a full house. There's like new ones of those.
This is not just a full house. This is an over full house.
Yeah, that's actually one of them is the over full house.
Golly. I wonder how they're gonna adapt this into the anime. Poker the anime.
Is there actually a poker anime? I have to look this up now.
Isn't that what Kakegurui is? I don't think it's strictly poker, but you know, it's like a gambling anime, and you know, it's kind of like in a casino setting. So I would assume there's poker involved somewhere.
I typed in poker anime. The first thing that comes up is watch Kakegurui.
Yeah, there it is. I knew it. Which, if you've never seen Kakegurui, it is the wildest trip of anything I've ever seen. I'm like, yeah.
I feel like that statement can be said about 90% of all animes.
That's true. Anime tends to go into some uncharted waters. But what was I gonna say about Kakegurui is apparently it rose from the fact that, you know, casinos have been illegal in Japan for like the longest time, right? And recently there's been a push to legalize casinos. The anime is a response. It's kind of like a concern for what would happen, because apparently even without casinos, gambling is kind of like a huge addiction that they struggle with. And it's like, okay, now imagine if you legalize them. You know, like, we're gonna have problems with gambling addiction. So Kakegurui is basically like gambling addiction, but turned up to 11. You know, they're like, this is what our society could become if we allow it. And yeah.
I'm just imagining like the most over the wall, like they're taking the cards, throwing them up in the air, and like throwing them like ninja stars type deal. Like from the pictures I'm looking at right now, it looks like a really good anime.
The art style is weird because it really hard shifts from like these are cute anime characters. You know, you have like the cute anime girls and the stylish anime pretty boys and whatnot, And then whenever they win, you know how like what's it called? You see in like say for example Yu-Gi-Oh, whenever a bad guy is winning, like his face distorts, and you know like you get like those really weird fisheye angles where like his eyes are bulging and he's just like super excited, like I got you now, Yugi boy. That's literally all Kakegurui is, all of it. The heroes and the villains all go through those like extreme.
The Joey Wheeler face.
Yes, the Joey Wheeler face, and it is insane. So it one heck of an anime trip. If you've never seen it, I mean, and you want to be extremely uncomfortable, definitely something to look into. PA Nightmare says hello to Drainage and Brad, and Brad says hello.
I waved. I waved.
It looks like the Nevermore Collective responded to him. We are... Let's see. We are presently in a really weird time for our favorite trading card game because they're discussing new formats.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because we've been discussing poker for the last 30 minutes.
No. Well, I mean, Raven says this joke is legit art, which, you know, yeah, we're artists is what we are. I would say, yeah.
Raven's that friend that encourages me to do bad things, and I don't know how I feel about that. I love him, but at the same time, it's like you're sending me down this pathway.
You ever think that maybe it's like it's him just kind of like trying to check to see like where the limits are, and every time that he's like he can't possibly go this far, and then you're just like okay, and you just take it that far, and Raven's like wait, stop, what? Like, how is it
he shouldn't be seeing what my limits are because those limits, they're very, very small lines.
I was like, we're talking about lines in the sand, but I'm like, this is like lines in the sand, but like we're in the middle of a hurricane. You know, it's there, but like briefly.
Yeah, there's no line. We'll be fair, there's no line.
Yeah. PA says, I'm going to go back to writing my chess story.
Do they get a new format update too?
Yeah, I think they released Double King.
Are they on 5D chess yet? Chess 5Ds.
Chess 5Ds are playing chess on motorcycles.
That would be I would pay for that anime to be made. I would watch it too. That's great.
Chessboard on motorcycles.
Pawn to E5, and then you take damage and your motorcycle falls and all your pieces fall off, and you gotta stop and pick them all back up, put them on this board.
You've fallen for my Xanatos gambit. Motorcycle chess sounds small.
What are we?
Welcome to the Untitled Yu-Gi-Oh Podcast, everybody.
Where we talk about not Yu-Gi-Oh, apparently.
Oh, it's beautiful. My phone chose small instead of amazing. Oh, motorcycle chess sounds amazing. Yeah, like the... Gosh.
How does your phone get small out of amazing? How badly did you misspell amazing that it thought you were spelling small?
Yeah, I was gonna say autocorrect is typically right most of the time, but that one felt to me like it got a little crazy there. Pawn to e5 is in the story. Now, I guess that there's something in here that I don't understand, and I'm almost afraid to ask, but is the chessboard universally understood to be in a grid pattern like, you know, like E and 1 through whatever?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe that that's like a uniform thing around the world, is that it's like A through whatever letter, and then 1 through whatever number. I said number, I didn't say letter.
Raven says that apparently he uses swipe keyboard, which is interesting because I've never seen anyone use. I mean, I know it's a function, but I've never seen anyone use it.
I sometimes just use it, just like sitting, and I'll move my finger around the keys just to see what it writes. But yeah, I don't use that function because I have giant fingers and it doesn't really work that well.
I gotcha. Yeah, I can see how it would be interesting, or how it would be easier if you're like texting one-handed. I don't know. I've never tried it.
I personally like speech to text. Raven is aware of that because I will often just send him random DMs of things that I'm saying in speech to text.
You guys don't just send like voice text, like most Galaxy phones come with that now, that you can just like hold the microphone down and just talk and then send that.
Well, Raven's never actually heard my voice, so I don't want to like jar him with how I sound, because he probably expects me to sound one way and then I sound a different way. So
It's weird to not use swipe for me, says Patience. I guess I'm the weird one. I mean, like, I learned how to text like back on like a razor, so I'm used to like having to hit a key multiple times until you get the letter or character that you want. And whenever they released like the smartphones where you would tap like just individual keys for whatever, I was like, this is the pinnacle of science. And I guess like I'm still just wowed by the fact that like instead of like individual keys, I'm just tapping on the surface of this device and it's understanding what I'm meaning to say. And every time that I type something in incorrectly, it knows how to spell it better than I do.
we had a rotary phone until I was like 10 years old.
Aisha is with us, and I want to say hello. Happy New Year.
I think I outbeat all of you with my rotary phone life.
I mean, I was born in a third world country, so I mean, like, we had rotary phones there for the longest time. I didn't see like a individual key phone until like I was 11. I was like, wow, what is this? This is incredible. I don't have to like do the wheel. I could just type the number, and everyone's like, yes. And I was like, oh my gosh.
The wheel was fun though.
It makes a delightful sound whenever you release it.
Yeah, it's like a mechanical noise almost.
Yeah,
it's just comforting.
Mm-hmm.
The sound of like heavy machinery crashing in the background.
Yeah, you do the long... and then it goes. I'm like, yeah. Patience says that they had a rotary phone too.
I don't believe her.
What really cracks me up is that new generations have no idea what any of these things are. So, like, whenever they see the floppy disk intended to be the save icon, they're like, I don't understand. That's just the save icon. If they see a floppy disk in real life, they're like, whoa, it was a thing. And, like, it's only a matter of time until, like, the phone icon, which is just, like, the cradle, until nobody understands what that is anymore either.
I had a guy one time that was like, we found a bunch of floppy disks at work from like the 1970s, and it was like old safety instructions and stuff, and one of the people was like, I don't even know what these are, and I was like, you are older than me. That is very, very bad.
I used to use I tried to use floppy disks back in the day to save anime that I had torrented, but there was never enough space in them. I mean, they were like, what, maximum like 700 megabytes?
When you say anime that you got by completely legal methods, you mean like what kind of anime are we talking about?
Oh, like One Piece.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like getting anime by completely legal methods.
Yeah, of course.
Putting them on like discs and floppy disks and
Yeah,
stuff.
that was before streaming, so you had to go the completely legal route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The legal route.
Of course. Yes.
Not to like certain bays full of pirates and whatnot.
Of course not. No. I mean, like, well, they were going to the Grand Line, so if that's the bay full of pirates that you're referring to, then yes.
Yeah, that one you went to, but you don't.
Yeah.
There's also that like lemon thread. You don't want to talk about lemon thread.
Right. You would need literally a dozen floppies for an episode. Yes. And this is back when everything was like in like really low resolution. So I don't know, man. It was a heck of a trip.
That actually reminded me of something. Somebody downloaded, I don't remember if it was Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal. They downloaded it onto floppy disks, and it was like hundreds upon hundreds of floppy disks.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I sometimes wonder, like, how in the world it was possible that we ever got anything done, like, say, for example, when we put a man on the moon on that kind of technology. I'm like, dude, like, my iPhone crash, or like, what's it called? Sometimes my phone crashes because like Chrome has too many tabs open, and I can't picture them like, okay, yeah, we have like this entire space shuttle, and down here we're operating on like, they weren't even called like iMacs or anything. They were just like Macs, like the old school Macintoshes with the color backs and all that. And we're gonna put a man in space, and we have full faith that everything's gonna be fine. I'm like, dude.
We have an abacus, a rocket, and some like hopes and dreams. Let's do this.
Yeah. Let's see. Patient says, saw a video where a girl found an iPod mini, the one that has a clip on the back and no screen, and she called it a vintage iPod looking hair clip, and put it in her hair, and I got sad. I remember, man, like the scroll wheel iPod was the first iPod I ever owned, and I thought that, I was like, this is it. We can. This is as far as technology goes. We've peaked. And then again, I seem to have that reaction with like literally any amount of new technology. Like if somebody were to travel from the future with something that was released like, say, 10 years from now, I would be wowed. I would probably feel like it was witchcraft. Like, no, what? Like there's a resolution above 4K? No, this is impossible. What manner of sorcery?
Just waiting for like Skynet to happen, honestly.
Yeah.
We're advancing enough. It's going to happen eventually.
Yeah. I think definitely Skynet is a possibility. Part of me kind of wants the Sword Art Online thing to happen. Mostly because I think that like fully immersive VR would be kind of super dope.
And then it gets to the point where the fully immersive VR is, if you die in the game, you die in real life. And then you're just kind of like, I don't want to play this anymore.
I don't know. I just recently got into that part of Brains where like there's people going around deleting the consciousness of people logged into Link Brains.
Like, is it Bowman that's doing that? Or
it's gosh, who is it? It's the what's it called? Revolver's 3 henchmen.
Okay, so you're not that far in.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a spoiler. There's a guy named Bowman later,
Oh,
but
no. I'm nowhere near that far. I'm to the point where Revolver just created the Tower of Hanoi, and Playmaker and Go and Blue Angel are trying to get to it, and Blue Angel just lost to Spectre.
do you see how fucking frustrating that anime is? The
It's
like
extremely frustrating.
side characters have like the top decks, and they lose.
It is so frustrating, man, because I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm watching some of this and I was like, there's no way that Blue Angel lost to Spectre, but Playmaker won. It doesn't make sense, because his deck is the least consistent thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, plot armor. That's all you have to say is plot armor.
Agreed. It is so ridiculous. Because all like, dude, she would have burned him half to death using Trick Stars. I don't understand how. It's frustrating. But that said, Raven says, I want Digimon. You should check out Yu-Gi-Oh! Brains. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Meets Digimon, and is the craziest thing. Yu-Gi-Oh! Meets Digimon meets Sword Art Online. It's like all three anime in the same. It's wild.
And if you really want, you can watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Meets Pokemon with Capsule Monsters.
Yeah, that's right.
It was terrible, and it's still terrible, but it's Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think that they had like a Capsule Monsters anime that was supposed to be released, but apparently like everyone just kind of dropped it, and apparently Bandai still owns the rights to it, and they've apparently faced some fan pressure to be like, hey, release it, we want to see it, but they're like, no, we don't think we will.
It's really bad. It's really bad. I think they at one point released a couple episodes of it, because I remember there was like an episode where they had to get a Neotori chicken card, so they like went to this coliseum in the middle of a desert, and it was like, so you got to get a chocobo, right?
Yeah,
that what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And then, oh hey, it's just them getting a chocobo.
The crazy thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! As an anime is that since it was supposed to be an anime about games, like literally any game in existence is fair game. You know, they can like make an episode of the anime regarding that game.
Is Bakugan the one? It's like the little ball, and you throw it, and then the monster comes out of the ball.
Yeah.
I used to have some of those.
I think like they also have cards now, but like the cards are magnetic, so like you would throw the ball onto the card, and then whenever it touches the magnet, it would stop and it would pop open and reveal the little monster.
Oh yeah, I think there was actually a guy I was watching on YouTube who was going over like different like things that TCGs are doing that make them unique, and that was like Bakugan had that skill aspect to it, where you had to throw the Bakugan and hit the card so the thing would come out of the card.
Yeah.
And then there was like another one that had like a claw that you had to like throw, and you'd get pieces in the middle and pull them back with the claw. And I was like, that doesn't seem like a card game at all.
That sounds like Jax with extra steps.
Sounds exactly like Jax with extra steps.
Yeah. Like there's a card game element to the Jax. You know, like it's almost like mana in Magic, except that you bounce the ball, and then however many Jacks you scoop, that's how much mana you have for the turn.
And then you just activate smokestacks and laugh as the world burns.
But I don't know, man. It's weird because I'm really bad at like resource management. So I'm not great at Magic, because having to keep track of like how much mana I have open, and you know what I can play with it, and how that could benefit me in the long run. Like say for example, I play artifacts a lot, and artifacts have the improvise the improvise keyword that says you can tap X amount of artifacts that you control to pay for the use of this card, right? So now I'm having to track how much mana do I have open, how many artifacts do I have open that I can tap, and like what can I convert that to? In my head, that's just like doing algebra, but with like cards. So I'm like, that loses me really fast. But here's the weird thing. I For some reason I struggle with it in Magic, but Pokemon the TCG is so simple regarding it that it doesn't feel as difficult. You know what's weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I find myself also just like, if I have two cards that I want to play in Magic, I just sit there looking at the two numbers of converted mana, and I'm just like, 4 plus 6, and then there's 2 green on this one and 1 black on that one. How much mana do I need?
You know
what's like it's 13, but I can't figure out 13 for some reason.
Right. And you know what's weird is that it shouldn't be difficult, because when you think about it, and trying to figure out how much mana you need to do a thing is the same thing as trying to figure out what levels add up to what to create a rank something or a synchro summon of something. You know?
Yeah.
Or like how much stuff you need to put on the field in order to link into, or to link climb into what you're looking to get. So it shouldn't be difficult, but for some reason it's just different enough so that it like my mind doesn't function that way, you know?
Pokemon TCG is pretty the simplest card game for the most part. I think that's why it's so fun.
Agreed. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact, like, for example, I keep saying that Magic is hard because you have all those loops to jump through. But the thing is, the mana is attached to the player, right? Whereas in Pokemon, the mana is attached to the Pokemon. So it's super simple to be like, okay, well, this Ampharos, I played this Ampharos. I started with a Mareep, and I just stacked it until it was an Ampharos. And it requires 3 energy to play, to use its move. And one of them is colorless, the other 2 have to be electric. I'm like, that's 3. But you get into converted mana cost in Magic, and it's like, okay, so I need a red, a black, and a blue, and then I need 5 others in order to play this card. And you're just sitting there going like, oh my god.
That's like 14, right?
Yeah. I'm like, god damn it. Like, adding shouldn't be this hard. But I guess a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're adding to get what you want on the field, but then whenever that hits the field, it adds other variables. So it's like it's like an equation that continuously gets more complicated. And you always have to be actively watching for what's triggering, because it's almost unheard of that a Magic card stops triggering the moment it hits the field and it does its thing. It's usually continuously triggering, depending on what you're doing or what your opponent is doing. With Pokemon, that's not an issue. Like your Pokemon has an effect, and your opponent's active Pokemon has an effect, and sometimes something on the bench will have an effect, but like usually that's limited to 5 Pokemon, so you're just looking at like 5 different things that will trigger once per turn,
So I've never actually played the TCG for Pokemon. I'm assuming that it's perfectly legal to like play Sandslash and then just like put an actual porcupine on the table, and then just whatever happens.
Yes, I feel like that's 100% legal.
Like you play Apple Turn and you put a Apple Turnover on the table,
yes,
and light it on fire, so it's a dragon type.
Can I say that, like, literally the moment I saw Appleton, the moment that he was spoiled for me, I was like, he is just the goodest boy, and I'm going to raise one. I was like, there's no way I'm going to play this game and not raise an Appleton.
Well, that's one of my friends opened up some Pokemon packs last night, and he got an Appleton, and I was like, I'm taking this. And he said, no, you're not. And I was like, I'm taking this.
But there's a lot of complaining about Pokemon being being out of ideas. Like, like there's a lot of like object-mon that are things. So like, for example, Litwick is a candle, and
Appleton is an apple.
Appleton is an apple, Magnemite is a magnet, and Voltorb is just a ball. But
Well, Voltorb and them, those are like the first gen. Those are way old. Like the new ones, I can understand like the Objectmon perspective, because it's like you have an ice cream cone, you have a bag of trash,
yeah,
it's like whoever was designing Pokemon that day was just looking around the office for ideas, and it was like I could make that apple sitting on Kara's desk into a Pokemon.
Yeah, and it's kind of a weird thing, because I like it a lot. I think that Objectmon are sometimes hit or miss. Like, for example, I don't think Delmise is a good Pokemon. It's an anchor. And I think the design on that one was kind of like, eh. But I think that other ones are really great. Like, for example, I love Chandelure. I think Chandelure is a really cool, really well-designed Pokemon. So, it's kind of a give or take.
I will always be a fan of like everything up to like Gen 4, because like as the way I see it, after Giratina they really couldn't get much better. It's like the giant different dimension ghost god dragon thing.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. Lord Mordor did say in the comments, there has always been dumb Pokemon designs. For me, some legendaries are just over-designed at this point, and I think that's true. If you look at legendary Pokemon, I think Giratina is actually a good one. I think Giratina is like that sweet spot where it's like, it's creepy, and it looks cool, and it looks like a Pokemon. It's not over-designed. I think that other ones, like, say, for example, like Kyurem, because you have black and white Kyurem, at that point, they stop looking like Pokemon. Like, to me, I'm like, this feels like it would fit a lot more easily in Digimon, because Digimon has always been, like, extremely over the top with their designs. Like, hey, we're going to grab this refrigerator, and we're going to put guns on it, and it's a Digimon.
Well, looking at this one, it doesn't even really look like a legendary, honestly. Like the white Kyurem and black Kyurem, kind of, but just the base form thing that I'm looking at. It's like what was the Gen 4? Heatran. It's like that doesn't seem. Why is this a legendary?
Yeah.
It looks just like another Pokemon.
Yeah. I agree. Like, there's some that, and it's always been an argument in the Pokemon fandom that it's kind of some people feel like there's too many legendaries, and like in some generations, I think generations 5 is probably the worst. They add so many that it's like a good chunk of your Pokedex is legendaries, and that just doesn't feel right. If I'm not mistaken, Generation 5 had probably like in the neighborhood of like 10, 11 legendaries, maybe even more, which was ridiculous, because you had like the 3 Swords of Justice, which were Cobalion, Virizion, and Terrakion, plus Keldeo, which he's technically one. Then you had Tornadus, Landorus, and Thundurus, which is another 3. And you have their alternate forms, so if you want to get really technical. And then you had like the box legendaries for that one, which was Reshiram, Kyurem, Zekrom, and then white Kyurem, black Kyurem. And I think they also had Diancie. They probably had Meloetta. So there was so many legendaries in that generation that it was like, wow, not all of these had to be legendary. You just decided that they should be.
Yeah, that's... I think while you were naming them off, I think the first gen had 5 that I could think of.
Mm-hmm.
The first gen had 5. The anime, if you want to count that, there was 6 technically, but you don't see Ho-Oh till the second game. But Yeah, that's way too many legendary Pokemons to have in one game.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's safe for a new game to have three, like a three of type legendary, like Entei, Suicune, and the other one,
Yeah.
where there's three, and then have like your two box, and then maybe you can throw one or two extra in there, but like having just half of your Pokedex be legendaries is not.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, they feel far too common for them to be considered legendary at this point.
and and then you get things like Heatran, which it's like, this doesn't feel like a legendary. This just looks like another stupid Pokemon that is kind of not good.
Right. Raven did mention Lunala. He says that Lunala is the best designed legendary. I think
Yeah,
that
that's the spooky bat thing.
the spooky bat, yes, and I think that Lunala, Solgaleo, and them are incredible because they're based off of alchemy, and I can share a video with you guys that delves better into this than I could ever, because like the entire time I was just like, whoa, but I have like this real hard time holding on to like to details in my mind. But yeah, basically the entirety of like the Sun and Moon legendary Pokemon is like from the practice of alchemy, and that blew my mind when I found that out. I was like, wow, that's incredible. Lord Mordor says there is a Ghost Rider like legendary in the Sword and Shield DLC now. Yes, he's talking about Calyrex, where you can have regular Calyrex, but then you have like Ice Calyrex, and then you have Ghost Calyrex, depending on which version you have, I think, or depending on what choices you make, you get one or the other. I think that base Calyrex looks kind of dopey, but I think in his rider forms, he looks really cool. Raven, I honestly dislike the horse rabbit combo thing you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to go with Raven on the disliking of the horse rabbit.
Why do we still not have a flamingo? I just saw that. Yeah, that's true. Why isn't there a flamingo Pokemon? I feel like that's like something that should have been done a long time ago.
We did every other animal.
Yeah,
What
really.
about the flamingo?
They've done some really obscure animals too, so it's kind of weird that that's the one they missed.
This Calyrex thing looks like it wants to just like eat my soul.
Right? He's got like this like I'm so done with everything look on his face. One thing I should say is Sword and Shield had like some real hit or misses with me regarding designs. I think the box legendaries are solid though. I think they look really cool, both of them. Till Aisha says, gotta go now, guys. I have to eat dinner and rest. Yeah, absolutely. Get better. 100%. Everybody started off the year getting sick, it sounds like we had COVID in my house, I believe. I'm still waiting on the results for that because I got tested like just before New Year's, and they were like, hey, expect delays on your results. And I'm like, oh, what do I do in the meantime? And they're like, worry. I'm like, okay.
We won't have your results till next year.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha! Funny joke. No, we're serious. So we won't have it till next year.
Yeah, we won't have it till next year, and we actually won't have it until the 3rd, so I won't know until tomorrow. But here's the weird thing, like my symptoms have lessened a lot, so now I'm actually feeling a lot better. And it's like at this point, like, why even worry? I'm gonna do it because it'd be nice to know, but like, wow, like this was kind of annoying.
Yeah, I ended up having a stomach virus past couple days, so that was fun.
Mm. They needed a better color scheme for the box legendaries in Sword and Shield. I think so. I think that the reason that they went with what they did is because it was supposed to harken back to Red and Blue, and the box legendaries are Sacian and Samacenta, which is supposed to be a play on the words cyan and magenta, so red and blue, you know. Supposed to be in Friday, Saturday, but here we are. Oh, that sucks, dude. Oh, that is the worst. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I hate having to go to the doctor, period. But having to go to it in like times like right now where everybody's traveling. So I mean, uh, I just felt like it was kind of like really frustrating because everywhere I went, I was like, okay, look, I need to do a COVID test, and they're like, okay, we have openings on the 5th of January. I was like, you have got to be joking. So what ended up happening is we actually had to wait until, golly, we actually had to end up waiting. No, so I had to end up waiting until the 5th of January roundabouts, but what I did is I went to a doctor, and when my doctor was like, "Oh, what symptoms are you having?" and I explained what I was experiencing, he's like, "Well, that sounds like COVID. Here's a express form that you take to the lab, and they cannot deny seeing you right now." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I took that to the lab, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna test you for COVID, but it's New Year's Eve tomorrow, so."
We're gonna shove this Q-tip up your nose and then make you worry for the next 4 days.
Right. Precisely what happened. It's frustrating, but here we are.
It's starting not next week, but I think the week after. The people who work for my company have to get weekly COVID tests if they are not vaccinated.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's terrible.
Yeah. And that's happening everywhere. Like my in-laws are having to do that. Like you're going to have a weekly COVID test if you're not vaccinated. And oh, holy cow, you were tested on Tuesday? Good Lord, you've been waiting a long time. Anyways, this pandemic is the worst.
Could be worse. I mean, we could be in the 15th century with their pandemic.
Or zombies.
Well, would that be worse? Or would that be fun until you got bit and then died?
I think that would be fun until you start running out of resources, because I think like the biggest killer in a zombie pandemic wouldn't be necessarily like zombies. I think that it would be a lot of people like digging in their heels, bunkering down, and slowly running out of supplies until they basically just starve themselves.
See, that's with the whole zombie apocalypse thing. I don't like, if it's a virus, that's one thing, but if it's like, oh, just zombies are coming up from the ground, I don't. There's not like much here in America that we could fear in that case.
Yeah.
With everybody owning at least 30 guns.
True.
I think a zombie apocalypse is not really that big of a deal. Like, I feel like it's something that people fantasize about, but it's like, if it were to actually happen, depending on where it happened, it would just be like instantly quelled.
Yeah, I think one of the best representations of America in modern media was in the show Gravity Falls, where there's that one episode where the great uncle is like pulling a shotgun out of somewhere, and his niece goes like, "Oh wow, that's kind of dangerous." He's like, it really isn't. Studies show that it's more dangerous to have a ladder inside of your house instead of a gun, which is why I own 6 guns in case some maniac tries to sneak in with a ladder.
I mean, fair enough.
Lord Mordor says, can't play card games in person, often beyond specific friends, and Magic the Gathering Arena is hella expensive. Thankfully, Legends of Runeterra is basically free. That's basically free until you start trying to get, like, serious. Because literally all of these card game clients are basically free until you want to win. At that point, it starts costing you some money.
Legends of Runeterra, is that League of Legends one?
Precisely, yes.
Yeah, League of Legends.
It actually plays a lot like the Digimon card game, if you've ever played that.
I have not. I watched two friends play it last night, though.
Yeah.
It's different.
It is different, and it's basically what Legends of Runeterra plays like, because it's got like that pendulum effect on the points that you can use to pay for moves, you know. So
it makes sense that Riot would copy another game's playstyle.
It could also be a lot. I don't know. I've never played Hearthstone, so I don't know what that plays like. But yeah, it's interesting, you know.
So I've never played Hearthstone either. I've spent enough money on one TCG. I try to not get into other ones.
I'm weird about card games, you know, because like I want to try every one that I come across. So I mean, like I end up like just you know, at the very least, just kind of like getting like a starter deck on a majority of them, just so that you can kind of see how it plays, because that's usually like the best place to start with anything, is getting like the pre-constructed you know, starter decks.
Yeah, you buy your three Endymions and then put them together.
Yeah,
your three Cyber Dragons.
Exactly. So, you know, like for example, I have like the first 4 starter decks for the Digimon card game, so that like I could kind of like learn how they play. It's fun. I got into the Pokemon trading card game doing the same thing. I'm like, my first one was like a Machamp starter deck from a long time ago, and you know, from there I kind of got onto the online client, and I was like, okay, so that's how this works. Okay, I see. Got into Yu-Gi-Oh with like the starter deck Kaiba. So like that's usually what happens. So like if I see a new TCG, I'll get like a starter deck and I'll just kind of like play around with it, see how it works.
Yeah.
I don't end up liking all of them, you know, like they're like, for example, I think Digimon is fun, but like I'm like, I probably wouldn't get too far into it based off like what I've experienced with it. But some of them I really do end up enjoying. Like I do enjoy the Pokemon card game. I like Magic. I'm just not good at it. You know, like I think that the problem with it is not just like the difficulty with like the resource management, but also because it's a slow pace game. You know, you kind of have to build up your resources, plan out your strategy. You know, kind of like start countering whenever you want to start moving forward. And I just kind of like, I feel like Farfa hit it right on the head whenever he mentioned that, you know, like Magic is chess. Pokemon is checkers. Yu-Gi-Oh is Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah, that's pretty much fucking right on the head. Is we are the just throw your cards at the table and hope something sits, whereas something like Magic takes like thinking.
Yeah, Magic takes thinking, and Yu-Gi-Oh's all like, nah man, swing with everything you got. Swing hard, do not apologize, and if it lands, you win. If it doesn't land, well, you know, scoop, game 2.
If you like EDH, I don't know if you've heard of this game, but it's called Flesh and Blood.
Dude,
it's
I told you about Flesh and
TCG, Blood. And I'm telling you about it now. Completely first time. It's basically EDH, but you have one dude.
Yeah.
And you boost that one dude up.
You're like, I'm the one telling you about it now. I've never heard about it before. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah,
We
like
played Flesh. We played it the other night, and it was pretty fun.
Flesh and Blood is fun. Yes, that's one of the games where I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a couple of the starter decks and kind of mess around with it. But Blitz is a lot different from Constructed, which is probably the one that you played with the full deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you still kind of get the basic idea. Oh, I see Fearsome. Hello, Fearsome. What's it called? I got the Flesh and Blood starter decks, and I started showing them to my friends, just kind of like, hey, this is a game you might like, especially like my friends who like Magic. I was like, you might want to try this because this is interesting. And what's it called? We did go to like a draft event, me and one of my friends, Helix, and it was a good time. He actually got on the leaderboard because he actually like really took to it. And what's it called? I showed it to Lord Mordor here, and we kind of messed around with it a lot. And I'm like, okay, so I'm bad at Magic, but this feels different enough to where I'm like, I could be good at this if I like put my mind to it, because it's a lot faster paced, Yeah. Yeah, and what's it called? There is like resources to manage, but like, I don't know. I kind of feel like the fact that you're drawing up to your hand size every turn kind of like it keeps it like on that razor's edge, so that you're constantly like, okay, the whatever he has in his hand isn't what I have to worry about every turn. Yeah, I kind of have to like, and whatever I have in my hand isn't what's going to stay in my hand every turn. We can like switch it around, like the strategy could evolve. I could draw something next turn that really changes the course of battle. So, yeah, I think Flesh and Blood is actually a lot of fun.
So, do you want to talk about the new formats? Now that we're an hour into the stream and we've talked about Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe like for 5 minutes.
Sporadically here and there. We talked about Brains the anime, yeah. We can start with Lord Mordor's comment where he says, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the equivalent of old school revolutionary warfare. Both armies just line up in an open field and take turns shooting each other until one army surrenders. I feel like that's too simple. Like, we're not taking turns shooting each other until one surrenders. This is, it's weird. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like, say for example, like if you put two cavemen in a fight with each other, but with each passing second, they're becoming more and more modernized. So like they start off by hitting each other with sticks, and the sticks evolve into AK-47s. AK-47s evolve into like lightsabers, and like so on and so forth. So that by the end of it, it's just completely unrecognizable. It's like so much stuff is happening all the time. I don't know what's happening, and just for fun's sakes, you start throwing in other evolving cavemen into the brawl as you go.
You said that, and like the first thing that came to mind was that old Flash game. I think it was called like Age of War, where it was like you just send cavemen at each other, and then you would like go to the next age, and it would be like sending Roman cavalry at each other.
Yes, exactly. Also, like you could kind of like call Yu-Gi-Oh kind of like an argument between grade schoolers, because literally everything you do in Yu-Gi-Oh, your opponent has to figure out how to make it infinity +1, Because it's like, okay, well, I do this. Well, you can't do that because I activate this. Okay, well, if you activate that, then I chain this. Okay, well, in reaction to your chaining of that, I will activate the following. Okay, you can't activate the following because I have blanket protection. This is non-targeting removal, so your blanket protection doesn't affect it. Okay, sure, but whenever I'm removed from the field, I float into something else, and this something else can do this. And it's like, it's always like a yes and, Yeah.
It's that never-ending, like...
Yeah.
Just struggle to fucking get one up on your opponent.
Yeah, however...
And then you just play Mystic Mine, and they quit.
Like Mystic Mind's just like, like that's the infinity plus one.
Mystic Mine is taking the cavemen and then just taking the club away from the one and like handcuffing him and being like, now fight.
Not fight. Oh man. But yeah, we're gonna get into the different formats of Yu-Gi-Oh in this particular first episode of the Untitled Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. Which apparently there's been a rumor going around that Konami wants to introduce new ways to play the game because every other card game out there has different formats where you can play the game differently, so that way, like, hey, for example, I don't feel like playing Master Rule today. I don't feel like getting stomped by Sword Soul. I could go into the Rogue format and play a deck that will feel more fun, more like like Lord Mordor says, like I actually have some agency in this game,
But they have 5 new format types, being Time Wizard, Heart of the Underdog, which is what you were talking about with the Rogue format,
right?
Common Charity, Deckmaster, which is going to be just a hot mess, and then Rivalry of Warlords, which we don't really know too much about.
Right. So Time Wizard is the one that every time I bring it up, everybody's excited about. And the way that the Time Wizard format works is that they'll decide a period in time in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh, and you basically build decks from around that time period. So, like, if they say, okay, well, we're doing Teledad format, like that's around the late GX era. You're talking about Phantom Darkness, Light of Destruction, things like that. This would have been like, what, 2008, 2010?
Yeah, like 2008 to 2010-ish, I think.
Yeah, so basically you're like, hey, so you can only build decks from around this time. Cards beyond a certain date not permitted, and so on and so forth. And that's exciting to a lot of people because Yu-Gi-Oh cards, unlike Magic, Pokemon, and Flesh and Blood, don't rotate. Actually, Flesh and Blood doesn't rotate either, never mind. But they don't rotate out of competitive play. At any given point, if you own a Yu-Gi-Oh card and you can figure out how to make it work, you can put it in your deck.
As long as it's not banned.
As long as it's not banned, that's true. Raven, if they don't say Duel Monsters I Surrender, I bet you Duel Monsters is going to be one of the most played Time Wizard dates.
I can understand probably Goat is going to be like the Goat's by far one of the fan favorites, and then probably Edison format and Teledad.
Yeah. Like, just like key historic moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great because
Edison, I think Edison is like what came after Teledad.
Right.
So it's like 2010 to 2012, 2011, 13, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I never got to play Pepe at full power, so I'm excited for whenever they say, yeah, we're doing Pepe format.
So you're excited for like the 2-week span of Pepe?
Yeah, for the 2-week span of Pepe.
I believe that was like one of the few times that they had to do an emergency ban list because Pepe.
It was because Plushfire was stupid. They're like, no, this is too powerful. We made a mistake. We made a terrible, terrible mistake.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things about Konami that's good is they realize when they make a mistake and they try to fix it.
Here's the thing. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and he was talking about, what is it? He was saying, I don't understand why Konami has like all these cards on the ban list. I feel like that's a lot. I'm like, here's the thing. These cards wouldn't be on the ban list if they were played in the way that they were intended. A lot of the times, like Konami makes a card and they say, here's our intention. And then the players say, that's cute that you have intentions, but we're going to be degenerates and just do the stupidest things we can with them.
We're going to instant fusion Aliralisk, assembling Nightingale, and then summon Neptune and just burn for 5,000 and attack directly for the other.
I know, right? Burn for 5,000, ouch, and then we attack directly. Oh man, Neptune was whenever I started playing Lyrilusks, back when Tri Brigade first came out, I noticed that Assembled Nightingale was like one of those, and I was like, huh. I keep hearing people give this one a lot of hate, but I don't understand why. And then somebody pointed me to the Neptune combo, and I was like, oh, that's dirty. I see why now.
Yeah, that card got 2 cards banned and made Konami like realize you can't print a card that says copy an effect in the graveyard.
No, not without putting a lot of stipulations on it.
You can copy an effect as long as it's not Nightingale's effect.
You can copy an effect as long as it's not unfair.
Which means you can't copy an effect.
Which means you can't copy an effect. What's it called? So yeah, I feel like Time Wizard is probably going to be one of the most popular formats. Me personally, I like the idea of Heart of the Underdog because the meta can look so samey across the board, you know?
Yeah.
Like there will be 2 decks that are good in the meta. So every time you go to a locals and they're doing like their competitions, it's like you can expect to see probably a variation of 1 of 2 decks. So yeah, have fun with that. You know, like you're gonna, like for example, a while ago, it's like you're gonna be playing against Tri Brigade or you're gonna be playing against Virtual World, and this is when True King of All Calamities was unbanned. So so it's like you're gonna be playing against a Tri Brigade, very quick beatdown type of situation, or you're gonna be locked VFD, which for everyone out there, VFD stands for Very Fun Dragon.
He's not fun at all. He should stay banned forever.
Yeah, I never got to play him, which sucks, man. Because I swear,
you shouldn't. You're a terrible person for even wanting to play him.
The thing is, I had all of the Virtual World. I was missing 2 Lulus, and they were hard to come by. And then so I ordered one, and then I found one at my local game shop, so I bought it. And then I was like, I have the VFDs. I'm ready. Let's go. And like as soon as I got that last Lulu, it was like, okay, VFD is banned. Apparently locking your opponent out of playing Yu-Gi-Oh isn't something that they like. So yeah, we're just gonna ban him. And I was like, oh man.
I mean, it was a problem card.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know why Mystic Mind's not been hit, even though I play Mystic Mind.
I recognize that it's a problem card. Yeah, you know, like I recognize that Verte Anaconda is a problem card, but I like.
It's good that you do because Konami sure doesn't.
I recognize that it's a problem card, but here's the thing: I never use it for any of the problematic combos. You know, like so for example, I never Anaconda into Dragoon, and I never Anaconda into Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. I love Anacondaing into Rainbow Neos. You know, like that's fun. But you know, the Rainbow Neos is just not as oppressive as the other 2 are. Man.
I saw a friend, he made Anaconda deck, and he sent Purple Poison, White Fang, or Black Fang, White Wing, and the Eyes. I don't remember what the Eyes card. And summoned Zark with Verte.
Oh, that's
beautiful. Just like, okay, that's new.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that.
But yeah, with the Heart of the Underdog thing, being able to like say no DP and no Dragoon decks, as well as like I think currently Sword Soul and Lyrilusc Tri Brigade are like the 2 top.
Yeah.
Like being able to like say at your local level, we don't want those decks, and then have a tournament where it's just everything other than those decks.
Right.
Would be pretty cool.
So you could play like really dumb things, like say for example, I have a Flower Guardian deck that I know for a fact will never stand up to anything in the meta.
I too own Flower Guardians, and it's a lot more reading than I'm willing to do.
Yeah, if you don't like reading, do not play Flower Guardians. That is the dumbest thing you can do. Oh my god, like that deck is so dense with like effects. It is people complained about, about Endymion, like the mighty master of magic, but I'm like, have you read Flower Guardians? One of them is an Endymion. It's weird.
There
Plus,
was on table 500. There was a Flower Guardian replay, which Farfa doesn't like Flower Guardians.
mhm.
But this guy, he was playing Flower Guardians against heroes. Hero player flips appropriate, which whenever you draw, your opponent draws two. So he flips appropriate against Flower Guardians, and it's just like, oh, you poor soul. And then he ends up getting decked out from just this dude doing his first combo.
That's the crazy thing about Flower Guardians is, like one of their most powerful boss monsters, Flower Guardian Light Flare. In order to keep his effect active, you have to skip your draw phase, which in Yu-Gi-Oh is like, what are you doing? But the thing is, Flower Guardians are just so full of draw effects. It's like the one deck in Yu-Gi-Oh where you can draw just because, and it's kind of ridiculous because it's like you don't need your draw phase if you're playing Flower Guardians. The problem with Flower Guardians is that they lose real hard to things like Ash Blossom and Trollden Lockbird.
Or anything that's meta relevant.
Yeah, or anything that's meta relevant. Because like they have long combos. They have extremely long combos. The problem is that, it's like it's a very delicate machine, and if you look at it the wrong way, it crumbles. Dareinger is Dareinger, you can read?
I unfortunately cannot.
Lord Mordor says, I like keeping archetypes as pure as possible. So do I. I actually do enjoy keeping my archetypes as pure as possible.
I need to get a Verte Anaconda for my Predaplants.
They're in maximum gold El Dorado right now.
Yeah, I was just looking at the price. They're like $8. So
Yeah, not super expensive. They were like $30 whenever I was looking to get one before, but I just pulled one from El Dorado, so I was like, all right, cool. And you really only need the one. You don't need to like get more than one.
Yeah, you can just change it between decks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do. Each one of my 30 deck boxes has a little insert that has the exact deck list, so that whenever I swap cards between decks, I know exactly what it needs and where it is.
Okay, so the next format is Common Charity.
I think Common Charity is interesting.
A lot of people were saying Goki would be like the number one thing because Goki ends on 2 power load ogres, and I don't remember if it's Thunder Ogre, which is like well over 8,000 damage.
Yeah.
But you can build a Lunalight deck out of all commons. All of their extra deck stuff is just commons. Their main deck stuff's all common. And then Tenyi is also common.
I was going to say Tenyi.
I've been making a Tenyi deck.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you could make a gladiator beast, like a functional gladiator beast out of commons, I think.
Maybe?
Maybe. There's a lot of really good decks out there that are composed 100% out of commons. And here's the thing, like a lot of them too. What?
I know some of the Gladiator Beast stuff is common, but looking through here, a lot of it's rare, secret rare, fucking ultimate rares.
Oh, weird. I would have thought that they would have been reprinted into Oblivion now, because they came out in like 2004 or 2006, something like that.
Yeah, Glad Beasts were really popular back then too. So
yeah, they were.
It is kind of, like you said, it's kind of surprising that they're not all commons.
Yeah. I was in my head, I was like, if there is one that's gonna be like that's not gonna fit the mold right now, it's gonna be Test Panther, because I know the Test Panther is like a recent one. That's a Link monster. But
Yeah,
I thought for sure that everything else would be like, yeah, that this is common. You can absolutely go Gladiator Beasts.
it looks like a lot of them are like super rare and up for
Weird.
the Glad Beasts.
That's so weird.
The crappy ones that no one played are commons, but I like Gladiator Beast Thorax, by the way. It's just like a fat puffer fish, fat angry puffer fish.
Yeah, what's it called? Me and Lord Mordor used to play against our friend Firehawk back in the day, and he had built gladiator beasts just out of stuff that he had lying around. He was the guy whose brother was a very competitive player. He went to a couple of YCSs. So his brother would buy packs, like a lot of packs, and our friend Firehawk would just take whatever his brother didn't want. So he built Gladiator Beast, and this was back in the day when it was a lot slower of a game. And Gladiator Beast Geyserus was the most frustrating card to deal with, especially because like the moment it showed up, it would do something stupid like pop two of your cards, and then at the end phase of the turn, it would just tap out and bring out two Gladiator Beasts. So it was almost impossible to do anything about it.
Well, I played Glad Beasts on the Duel Links.
Mm-hmm.
I played Glad Beasts on that, and it's just like you summon big dudes, fusion summon with big dudes, and then after you attack with big dude tags out into small dudes, and then you just start all over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like fun deck, good deck, and then you look at the prices of it, and it's like expensive deck.
And I think the reason for that is because you need a lot. Because it's very battle phase dependent, so you kind of need a lot of protection for that deck, and a lot of the protection cards are just things that are not cheap. You know, you need a lot of effect negation. You need a lot of stuff to basically slow your opponent down until you can pop off.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to like look and see like what other archetypes are primarily commons or could be commons, but like
I know
uh,
I'm looking through Reddit right now, like trying to find what else besides Tenyi and Goki and stuff. Somebody said Abyss actors. Uh,
yeah, actors do have like a fairly large amount that are reprinted, which Abyss actors are by far one of the most broken archetypes. It's just you have to have the field spell,
mm,
which the field spell doesn't really help them all that much, but it
mm.
does because it can negate one effect and turn it into destroy a back row,
Oh, neat.
and then you have all of their back row effects whenever they're set and destroyed, like summon 5 monsters from your deck, draw until you have 5 cards in your hand, blow up your opponent's board.
Somebody mentioned Grand Maju Stun, which is true.
Yeah, yeah,
Grand Maju's actually kind of brutal, even when it's not in a limited format such as this. You sent me the video the other day from head-to-head battles where Suzu took his Grand Maju deck to locals, and that deck is brutal.
fucking summons Triglubian, goes into number number 100. I'm gonna attack directly for 8,000.
Yeah,
GG.
yeah, GG. Dynamist apparently is one you can do. Dynamist,
Yeah,
except that Terran and Rex are not common. That's the only catch.
the SEMO special.
The Simo special, yes. Uh, Frogs, apparently a lot of frogs are common.
Yeah, I think Ronin Totem just got reprinted not too long ago as a common.
Yes, he did in the what's it called? In the Ice Barrier deck, he got reprinted as a common.
So
I
yeah, there's a lot of decks that over the years have gotten their reprints. So like the common the common charity format. It's going to be interesting to see what people put together, because I mean, you're going to have people who do Lyrilusk, not Lyrilusk. Well, Lyrilusk could be most of their stuff's common. But you're going to have people who do,
yeah, you're gonna have people that figure out like some crazy stuff, because Lyrilusks are mostly commons, except for like as a matter of fact, some of their Xyz monsters got reprinted too recently, and they're common. I think they were in like Synchro Storm.
The 2 Xyz monsters, the Nightingale and other one,
and Residual Starling.
Which, rest in peace, Starling. It's probably gonna get hit on the ban list.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I shudder to think that they're gonna do anything to like hit Tri-Brigade, but I feel like it's almost inevitable.
Your deck is gonna get my deck hit.
Yeah, my deck is gonna get your deck hit. I'm using both of them, so I'm like, it's gonna get both of my decks hit. So let's see. Raven says, I like this idea of common cards only. Yes, because like a majority of the stuff that you're pulling out of packs is commons. And so, just giving you the ability to use those cards that you would otherwise not look at, in my opinion, is just brilliant.
And it also helps, like, for that kid who has like $3 and is just going to play for fun. He doesn't have to have a $500 meta deck to be able to compete for this type of tournament. He can play with like a $10 common only deck and still have like a chance.
Exactly. Yeah. Like go to your local game shop with like $20. You can build 2 decks for the common charity format.
There's quite a few decks you can build, like we were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and it's such a wide variety too, because like you can go beat down with Grand Maju, or you can go control with frogs, and like heck, even Tenyi can technically be control.
And like the most expensive common card is probably like what, maybe $3 or $4, and it's like an OTS 1-pack card.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, like I honestly like. That format to me sounds like a great idea to just like broaden the amount of players that you get into the game. So we've discussed, let's see, Time Wizard. We've discussed the Rogue format, and we've discussed Common Charity. That brings us to the hot mess that is Deckmaster.
So this has so many things that, like, just with the information they gave us, they aren't answering questions that need to be like answered, as well as it seems like it's just going to be someone picks a Floodgate as their Deckmaster, and that's the game.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend, and when I explained to him that Deckmaster was going to be a thing, he was like, "That sounds cool." And then I was like, "You think it sounds cool, but let me just bring something to you." And he's like, "Okay, what's up?" And I was like, whenever I'm playing Tri-Brigade and I end on the barrier statue of the Stormwinds, and then you can't special summon anything because you don't use any wind types." And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What if barrier statue of the Stormwinds was my Deckmaster?" And he's like, "Oh shit." And I was like, "Yeah, exactly." So the problem with Deckmaster is that I almost feel like the only way it works is if Konami goes out of their way to do what Magic does and put at the bottom of certain cards, this card can be your Deckmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, because...
Which, since these are going to only be at like an OTS level, I doubt that they would do that unless they did like a special pack called like a Deckmaster pack.
Right. Yeah, like for example, like the Speed Duel box. Like
the Battle City Speed Duel and like the Duelist Academy one they're coming up with.
Exactly, where they just like the box comes with everything you need to play this format.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I'm like, dude, like, for example, Last Warrior from Another World. Neither player can normal or special summon or set monsters. I'm like, if that's my Deckmaster, I fill the rest of my deck with burn cards, and we're done,
So, I think since we've talked about it enough now, we should probably explain that this format is based on the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, where they went into the virtual reality
Yeah.
and they had to pick a monster to be their deck master, and they would get special abilities based on their monster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So the deck master begins outside of the deck each game. Any effects that it has are applied as long as it's face up on the field. You can summon it, ignoring any summoning conditions and requirements.
Mm-hmm.
There's no tributes for high-level monsters. Xyz materials don't need to be used for the effects. And if the monster is destroyed, you lose the game. That one's one that I have problems with because it says if it's destroyed.
Yeah.
What if it's banished? What if it's bounced back to your hand? If you compulse it, does it go back to your hand? Does it go back to the deck zone? Does it? What happens?
I feel like it would go back to the Deckmaster zone. I don't think that so if it's destroyed, you lose the game. They would also have to give you some sort of incentive to actually summon it.
Yeah.
Because if it's just doing what it's supposed to do in the Deckmaster zone, then theoretically,
stopping you from going a barrier statue or vanities or something like that.
Exactly, just leaving it there, there has to be something that says, you have to summon it at some point for the following reasons.
Yeah.
Or don't make their effects apply unless they enter the field, But then, I don't know, that also creates a whole bunch of other problems. Yeah, Raven says, I think it would have to be reworked to if it leaves the field. You would have to have things that target it in its command zone, so to speak. So ultimately, I feel like Deckmaster only works if Konami prints that caveat, or if it just starts printing monsters that like pendulums, have their normal monster effect, but then they have a Deckmaster effect. If this card is used as your Deckmaster, it can do the following.
Which, with some of the things that I'm assuming this is a beta where they're throwing the idea out there, and it's going to change by the time it actually hits the market.
Right.
But it's still what's stopping someone from picking Dragoon as their deck master?
Exactly. You could put so many stupid things in there. Unless there's a rule that says you can't put an extra deck monster in your deck zone in your as your deck master, right?
Well, they have that you can do that though. They have that no tributes are required for high level monsters. No materials needed for fusion monsters, synchro monsters, or Xyz monsters, and link monsters.
Oh, really? Oh, I hate this a lot more now.
So you can pick whatever monster in the game. It doesn't specify ritual monsters though, so I don't know if that's going to be changed or not.
Oh, that's so dumb.
I could just do my Kraken control deck and have Stealth Kraken changing everything into water, and then I don't have to detach materials to blow up cards.
Right. That's another thing, is that Xyz monsters don't have to remove materials to activate their effects. Oh my god.
There's a lot. It could be very good if they took time to rein it in.
Yes.
Refine the whole format.
Totally awesome as my deck master. Hippity hoppity, your stuff's not my property.
Oh god. Just S0 utopic Draco future. Just have fun getting your stuff negated, and then it's mine.
Yeah, really. Gosh, it's holy cow. This one's gonna be a mess, an absolute mess.
It'll be fun. I have faith that it'll be fun, but it's just like I said, they need to bring it back some, think about rewording some of their points and clarify.
Oh my god. So Is that all the formats? I think we covered all of them.
There is the Rivalry of Warlords format, but Konami really didn't give us much on that other than it's a new format where uh, it's a fun and easy way to introduce duelists to themes that they may not have commonly played, which to me and to a bunch of other people, that sounds like kind of like maybe a structure deck format where either Konami will give you a set deck list and you play with that deck list, or maybe it'll just be whatever structure deck is out, you'll play with that structure deck. But
Yeah, so there is that. Just going off of like Rivalry of Warlords, I almost feel like they're gonna name a type and then you build a deck around that type. Like they could say, oh well, zombies. So now you could come in with like your zombie world deck, or you could come in with your Eldritch deck and stuff like that.
does it count if when they call zombies, you just come in with any deck and then play Zombie World? Technically, all zombies.
Well, in that case, like literally any deck that's running DNA surgery could work as anything.
I think we found the loophole.
Yeah, there's the loophole right there. It's like, okay, so we're doing war or what's it called? We're doing fiends. Fine, but I'm gonna be playing my Phantom Knights because I have DNA surgery in my deck.
Judge, I used DNA surgery to change them to fiends. It's all legal.
Your entire deck must now be turtles, says Raven, and yeah, we could have artillery catapult turtle.
There's pyramid turtle.
Yeah, there's
and
UFO turtle is the other one. There's turtle tiger. It's a level 3 vanilla.
There's two turtle cards that they have like weird names.
Oh, I know the ones you're talking about. Like, God, what are they called? Hold on. I know Dark Duelist recently did a deck profile on these. I know exactly the one you're talking about. Damn it. Here.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dark Arm Duelist, and I'm back here with another deck for you. Here we go.
Let's see. Sue Ship, Sun Avalon, Cyber Dragon. The Arat Newman.
Yeah, Arat Newman Frogs is what he did.
Yeah. And the turtle has like some crazy effect or something.
Neither player can special summon monsters with 1800 or more attack, is what Testudo Arat Newman says.
Yes.
And then there's another one, too, that Newman Arat Testudo, which is neither player can special summon monsters with 1800 or less attack.
Oh, weird. So, like, what? That's crazy. Lord Mordor says, I have just been reminded of the old school DNA surgery plus insect barrier combo.
I have that deck built. It's amazing. It's like playing with a bunch of bricks, but it's amazing when you put your parasite in your opponent's deck, and then they try to shuffle it as much as they can, but you got that jade insect whistle.
Yeah. And speaking of Parasite, the lost art for it looks amazing.
I don't know why they had to do a lost art.
Well, because
I don't feel like the original artwork was that bad that we had to have it censored.
There's an insect digging its way into a guy's face. And it's not a small insect, it's a huge insect. It's like it's encompassing the entire inside of his mouth.
You could make the argument that it's burrowing its way out of his face, but yeah.
I don't know if that's less or more horrifying.
I would say less.
Raven says, "Oops, all zombies," and that's exactly what Lord Mordor in the comments likes to play. He's got like a zombie world deck that he that he keeps running. And yeah, Red Eye's zombie, what is it, Necro Dragon, can get ridiculously strong really easily.
Yes, we have a guy, I call him Dino Dude. I don't know his actual name. He used to only play dinos. And he would come in and we'd be like, oh, he was trapped in a cave and then a rock slide fell in and broke his leg, so they got to put a dinosaur fossil. Now he's got dino DNA. But he stopped playing dinos because of that, and he was like, I'm going to play zombies now. And we're like, oh, he was trapped in a cave and the cave fell in, so they had to take a zombie bone, put it in, now he's got zombie DNA. He is something else too. He's it never ceases to amaze me, the judge calls that get called on him. Mm-hmm. He summoned a dark magician last night by attributing one monster, and the person next to him just looked at him and said, you need to tribute 2 for that. And he said, I'm going to call a judge to see if that's right. And I was like, don't call a judge for that. That's basic ruling.
Yeah, basically. Lord Mordor says, Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon, because Yu-Gi-Oh names are ridiculous. We've discussed this. Like Nefarious Archfiend, Eater of Nefariousness.
Purpley Thorny Purple Dragon or whatever.
Oh, red-haired Hasty Horse.
Interplanetary Purpley Thorny Dragon.
Right. Interplanetary Purple Thorny.
Anteater Eating Ant.
Anteater Eating Ant. We've mentioned Amano Awado.
Frog the Jam.
Bachi Bachi Bachi.
Frog the Jam. This card is not a frog. I love that so many cards in the frog archetype, the original printing, say this card does not include Frog the Jam.
Yeah. Because I think Frog the Jam was named something different in like the Japanese. It was like Toad Slime or something.
It was a Slime Toad. And when it got translated, it was translated to Frog the Jam for some reason.
Yeah, and now all the frog cards have to speculate. You can do this with anything except Frog the Jam.
It's like Harpy's brother is Sky Scout.
Yeah, he's Sky Scout now.
It was Sky Scout in the OCG, but for some reason it was translated into Harpy's brother.
Because I guess it's because they never expected go Giga Gaga Gigo.
Do we just want to like lump all of the fucking onomatopoeia stuff into the? You have your Gaga Gaga Girl and Go 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 Golem and Zubababa, Gaga Gaga Goach, and
Acha-cha Chambera.
Acha-cha Charger.
Oh man, like you know what I did? What I found the other day is I was doing research, and I found that the Onomod cards, like their what's it called? Their names are based off like literal onomatopoeia that you would see on like manga, for example. So like go 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 is the sound of something hitting something, and like acha cha is like the sound like of fire crackling, you know. And something like do 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 is like rumbling. So I'm like, oh, so you could have called them like sizzle, smack, and stomp, and it would have worked the same.
Yeah, I love the archetype because one of the guys at our locals had a story where I don't remember if it was him or someone else that were playing the deck, and they played Go 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 Golem Golden Form, and their opponent was like, "What's that do?" And he like hands it to him, and it's like almost timing around. He hands it to him, and the guy just reads the card, hands it back, and says, "Well, you can go fuck yourself." And then he proceeds to like overlay into Cowboy and shoot the guy for game. It's just like, that's the best thing. I'm building that deck just so I can say that to people.
I'm gonna say hi to Ceres Death, who has who has joined us, and also it looks like we have a bot.
I got it.
Sweet. But
You
yeah,
can go fuck yourself, bot.
go bot. But yeah, like the literally all of the Automat cards fall into like that Yu-Gi-Oh names are ridiculous
Well,
category.
like, yeah, Onomano to para and Onomano to pick up and do dwarf go gloves, Zubababa Bancho Gaga coat,
Oh, I forgot about Subaba Bancho Gaga coat.
go giant, go gigas.
Oh man, yeah, it is. They've all been Russian today. That's interesting. It's probably because they have us Russian to delete them.
I'm leaving you hanging on that. I can't condone the puns.
Brother Gamma has joined us, and he says the Gaga Monsters. Yes, we were discussing all of the Gaga Monsters. Like I think that a lot of like what like really put me off to Yuma as a character was that he's got that personality where you're just kind of like it's a little cringe, but then he runs.
He's gonna five the sky.
But then he runs the deck with all the Onomot monsters, so it's just like he takes it to a whole new level, and you're just like, oh, dude.
Well, see, the whole anime, Yuma's actually my favorite because he was just a trash duelist starting out. And throughout the series, he got better. Where in every other Yu-Gi-Oh series, it's like the protagonist is just like the god duelist of that world. So it was refreshing to see a series where it was like, oh, the protagonist is actually bad at the game.
Yeah, I mean,
and he has to have someone like holding his hand to get him a win.
I can see where you're coming from. And on that note, you remember earlier how you said, what's frustrating about brains is that players with bad decks, players with good decks play them really badly. I think the opposite is true for Jaden as a protagonist because the vanilla heroes were never good. And somehow he's winning.
Well, that's like all of the protagonists, they have that like plot armor and it's just so thick. It's like, I want to see a Yu-Gi-Oh anime where the protagonist is not good and he gets better through time. And that's what Zexal was. It was, I mean, he was annoying as hell, but he started out being like the worst duelist and just got better progressively as time went on.
Right. 242 dropped in to say hi quickly, and then she says, "Take care, everyone." Yeah, well, take care yourself also, but I'm not taking care of everyone. I can't keep an eye on them. They keep moving around. Gamma says, Bakura is my favorite, and it's more hilarious on the abridged. You know what's funny is that I always say that they should include the abridged series as like bonus content in the DVD releases. It's like
I wouldn't be upset if they made the abridged like canonical.
like one of the alternate 5Ds world or Arc 5 worlds is one where it's just abridged.
Oh god, that would be so great. Just Arc 5, they end up going to the abridged world. It's a little Karibo.
Oh, that would be freaking beautiful. I would love it.
Brooklyn Rage.
But like what is it like geez, Taya is like one of my favorite characters, not because she's funny, but because her voice is so like is so out there, like you can tell it's just little Karibo just like being extra. So I love that.
My voice gives me super strength. Tristan Taylor, 2021.
Did Did you just summon a bunch of monsters on your first turn? You can't do that. It's against the rules. Screw the rules.
The rules. I have money.
Yeah. Abridged is a master class in how to parody something, I would say. So much so that a bunch of animes got abridged series immediately after, like, you know, Dragon Ball and Naruto and what's it called? Attack on Titan, which is great if you haven't seen Attack on Titan abridged.
Yeah, the abridged series for Dragon Ball. I'm upset that Team 5 6-star 5-star Team 4-star 4-star Team 4-star. It's sad that they stopped making the Dragon Ball Z abridged.
I hear that they got hired on by 4Kids Entertainment to do other stuff, or not 4Kids, but whoever owns Dragon Ball the rights. I think they got hired on as voice actors.
Maybe all of them are really like talented. And they showed that by like their performance in Dragon Ball Z abridged.
Right. Yeah. It
along
really
with the other stuff, because like it's like any other anime. If you like watch the Naruto abridged, you're probably gonna see like Lenny Batora's in that, as well as like he's made guest appearances in the Yu-Gi-Oh abridged and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that one of the coolest things that they did is they figured out how to make the lip syncing super easy. Because, you know, like one of the biggest challenges I hear, I don't know. I mean, one day I'll know whenever I'm working in that what's it called, field. But for the time being, we're working on it. But supposedly one of the hardest things to do whenever lip syncing anime is making your words match the mouth movement. And Team 4-stars are like, it doesn't have to be difficult. What we did is we took a frame of them with their mouth open, a frame of them with their mouth closed, and you know, we just basically like puppet the motion of their mouth so that it matches the words. And I was like, what? That's clever.
Yeah, they did a really good job for like the time period that they were making those.
Yeah. What's it called? Gamma says, I haven't, but I've seen parts of the abridged Sword Art Online, which is really, really good. Okay, so the original Sword Art Online to me felt a little melodramatic. But I feel like, and one of my biggest problems, I felt like Kirito had like no personality. His personality was, I'm good at games. But I do feel like they fixed a lot of the story plot by basically making him like have like an extra dimension, which is like which is ridiculous, you know, like to hear from like an abridged series that they actually like gave him character development, but they absolutely gave him character development. And yes, like a PNG tuber is exactly what they did.
That's what Raven is.
Oh, he should absolutely make like a PNG avatar of the Raven with like the mouth open and then the mouth closed, and then just puppet the motion of it opening and closing.
I want to see that so bad now.
Yes. That would be awesome.
Raven the VTuber.
Raven the VTuber. And you know, just to like make him match with a lot of the other VTubers out there, we got to give him giant, cute anime eyes.
I thought you were going to say something else. I was going to be like, Bart, no.
I can only imagine where you thought I was going with that.
I heard giant and I got scared immediately. I'll say that.
It's exactly where I thought you went with that. I was like, there's no way he was going. All right, but yeah, we're there. But on that note, everybody, thank you for joining us for the first episode of Untitled Yu-Gi-Oh Podcast, Episode 1, LLC Incorporated Trademark. I have been the Midnight Bard, and I've been joined by Dareinger.
That's me.
Yay! And yeah, join us again next week when we discuss our favorite card game, among other things. Because in case you didn't notice, this was almost 2 hours of us literally talking about everything except the card game for which this podcast was named. But I want to thank everybody who joined us today, like As the Raven Dreams, Set as Death, Gamma Akutabi, 242 Reads, Lord Mordor, Patience was here for a second.
CCG was here.
CCG was here. I knew I had to say CCG, but I couldn't remember how. I blanked for a moment.
Fearsome Hero was here.
Fearsome Hero was lurking in the background. You're 100% right.
And Artzilla Aisha was here.
She was also here. Very correct.
And
PA Nightmare. Yeah.
How can we forget PA? That's the thing. You can't forget PA.
You cannot.
Guy is like, he's the glue that holds us together.
That's very true. Like Elmer's glue, but not made out of horses.
Ravens being sus.
I thought you were gonna say our favorite card game, Among Us. Thanks for teaching me about poker, says Patience.
That bit went on really long.
Come back for next week when we're going to discuss Go Fish and the new archetype breaking cards that they've released for it.
Next week is going to be Goldfish and Barbasol shaving cream.
And Barbasol shaving cream. I don't know how that connects, but I'm sure you'll let me know.
How did anything that we talked about today connect, Bard?
They're things that exist.
Fair enough.
Alrighty, everybody. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.